Unstable girlfriend burned down boyfriend's house while his family was inside. Serena Davies and Ethan Carter's paths first crossed on a brisk autumn evening. Serena, a 26-year-old art gallery curator, had recently relocated to manage the esteemed Hartley Modern Art Museum. Ethan, 28, presented a dashing appearance in his bespoke suit, his family's legacy echoing with old wealth and clout within the community. Their gazes locked across the bustling ballroom, and for Serena, time seemed to pause. She would recount to her friends that the encounter was electric, a connection so profound it felt predestined. Ethan, equally taken by the enigmatic new arrival, navigated through the crowd of tuxedos and gowns to introduce himself. Their dialogue flowed seamlessly, spanning topics from art to literature and their mutual passion for globetrotting. Serena was charmed by Ethan's eloquence and wit, while he was mesmerized by her zeal and intellect. As the evening progressed, they ventured away from the gala into the moonlit gardens of the venue, their conversation deepening amidst the allure of burgeoning attraction. In the ensuing weeks, Serena and Ethan's relationship intensified like a swift summer squall. They became a constant presence at gallery events, enjoyed intimate suppers at exclusive bistros, and spent extended weekends at the Carter family's seaside haven. To onlookers, they epitomized the ideal couple, youthful, accomplished, and profoundly enamored. Yet, even in this honeymoon phase, subtle signs hinted at underlying issues. Serena's friends noted a change in her. The once self-reliant and career-oriented woman seemed to orbit increasingly around Ethan. She obsessively checked her phone for his messages and grew visibly tense when replies were delayed. Ethan's close friend, Marcus Blackwood, recalled an incident that, in retrospect, should have sounded the alarm. Roughly 2 months into their romance, he joined the couple for cocktails at a local pub. When Ethan stepped away to handle a business call, Serena's attitude shifted starkly. She questioned Marcus intensely about Ethan's former liaisons, revealing a layer of insecurity that had previously gone unnoticed. Her probing extended to his female friends and his daily activities when she wasn't present. The depth of her inquiries left Marcus uneasy, though he initially dismissed it as typical nervousness of a new relationship. As time passed, Serena's need for continual contact and affirmation began to strain Ethan. He found himself detailing every moment of his day, sending frequent updates and photographs to validate his whereabouts. Initially, Ethan interpreted her vigilant attention as flattering, mistaking her possessiveness for deep affection. However, as her demands grew, they became stifling. Despite these red flags, their relationship proceeded rapidly. Within half a year, Serena had almost... In a blend of kinship and tradition, Ethan's relationship with his family was broadly positive, though it carried its own complexities. He shared a solid bond with Audrey, who at 25 was carving out a career in environmental law. What was once a sibling rivalry had softened into a supportive friendship as they matured into adult. Ethan's rapport with his father was grounded in mutual respect, yet an undercurrent of tension persisted due to the high expectations resting on him as the prospective leader of the family business. However, it was his connection with his mother, Evelyn, that proved to be the most layered. Evelyn was especially protective of her eldest, a tendency that became more pronounced as Ethan started dating. She held lofty expectations for the women in Ethan's life, viewing them not merely as his potential partners, but as future bearers of the Carter legacy. When Ethan first introduced Serena to his family, reactions were mixed. Reginald recognized Serena's intellect and career drive, seeing her as a valuable ally in the art sector. Audrey was initially taken with Serena's energy and shared passions. However, Evelyn felt reservations from the outset. She deemed Serena's background insufficient and her demeanor overly accommodating. In private, Evelyn voiced her concerns to her husband about Serena's fit with their son and the Carter family's reputation. Unbeknownst to the family, their initial perceptions of Serena, both good and bad, would soon be overshadowed by the unfolding event. The fissures in Ethan and Serena's relationship began to expand into gaping void. What started as a fervent affair was gradually transforming into a stifling ordeal for Ethan. Serena's constant need for attention and affirmation, initially charming, now seemed like a weight pulling him deeper into stormy water. The first significant trouble arose about 8 months into their relationship, when Ethan had to travel to New York for a business trip, a common part of his role as VP of Operations at Carter Industries. Serena's response to Ethan's business trip was anything but supportive. She insisted on joining him, claiming she couldn't endure the separation for the 3-day journey. When Ethan gently explained that it wouldn't be appropriate, Serena's demeanor darkened dramatically. She accused him of planning to meet other women, of using the trip as a pretext to flee from her. Her expressions became increasingly frantic, her eyes alight with a wild fear of abandonment. In a surge of anger, she hurled a crystal vase against the wall where it shattered into countless sparkling shards, a vivid symbol of their relationship's crumbling facade. Disturbed by her outburst, Ethan sought refuge at his sister Audrey's apartment for the evening. There, as he shared the ordeal with a shocked Audrey, he began to perceive his relationship with Serena under a disturbing new light. Concerned for her brother's safety, Audrey suggested it might be time to sever ties with Serena. Yet, Ethan, tethered to the nostalgia of their initial bliss, convinced himself they were merely experiencing a temporary setback. Returning from New York, Ethan discovered his apartment strikingly altered. Serena had redecorated, replacing his minimalist decor with a riot of colors and eclectic art, framing it as a grand romantic gesture to demonstrate her affection. For Ethan, however, it felt like an intrusion, a tangible sign of Serena's attempts to mold his existence to match her ideals. As the season shifted from winter to spring, Serena's actions grew increasingly unpredictable. She began appearing unannounced at Ethan's office under the pretense of bringing him lunch, yet her gaze would suspiciously flick towards his female coworkers. She demanded access to his email and social media accounts, purportedly to plan surprises. When he resisted, she oscillated between tearful entreaties and chilling periods of silence that stretched for days. Ethan's friends and family started noticing a change in him too. The once vibrant and sociable young man grew reclusive and tense. He frequently canceled plans, invariably citing vague reasons linked to Serena's well-being or pre-existing commitments she had arranged for them both. When Ethan did go out, Serena was always there, her arm possessively threaded through his. Tensions escalated at the annual Highland Park Summer Festival. Ethan had been swamped at work and arrived later than Serena, who was deep in conversation with his college friend Ethan. The instant Serena saw Ethan approaching, her expression shifted. She hurried to his side, forcing a smile that failed to mask the tension in her eyes. Later that night, secluded in their car, Serena unleashed her fury. She accused Ethan of deliberately arriving late to flirt with other women and of planning to abandon her for someone else. When Ethan tried to soothe her, insisting he had simply been delayed by work, Serena struck him across the face. The sting of her slap was a jarring wake-up call for Ethan. In that instant, he recognized that the woman he had once loved had transformed into someone he scarcely knew and deeply feared. As Serena railed on, Ethan internally committed to a resolution. He resolved to end this destructive relationship regardless of the consequences. Haunted by the events of the summer festival, Ethan grappled with his decision. He was well aware of the challenges ahead. Serena's behavior had become increasingly erratic, and he dreaded her potential backlash. Yet, he understood that severing ties was essential for his mental health and for any chance at a future free from emotional turmoil. Choosing a venue for their breakup, Ethan opted for the small cafe where they had first officially dated, hoping the public setting would moderate Serena's response. On a sunny Tuesday afternoon, his heart thumping with both fear and a longing for freedom, he braced himself to face her. Serena arrived with a bright smile, leaning in for a kiss, which Ethan dodged by turning his cheek, an action that instantly put her on alert. As they took their seats, Ethan inhaled deeply, ready to convey his decision as kindly as possible. He started to speak, outlining his feelings and the need to part ways, navigating the delicate conversation with careful work. "You've got me in the buttholes. If you're still here, it's pretty safe for me to go. I won't be able to talk to you. Joe, you're on the wrong side of the bed. Not you. Don't you dare look at me like that. I'm not misbehaving." Serena's chair screeched against the floor as she began to shout. She accused Ethan of never truly loving her, of using her, and Serena would park outside Ethan's apartment for hours, keenly observing the entrances and exits, hoping for just a glimpse of him. When she spotted him at a local diner with friends, she hovered outside, peering in through the windows, her heart pounding as she saw him laughing, apparently joyful without her presence. Her performance at the art gallery deteriorated as her fixation intensified. She became distracted, her moods fluctuating wildly, and she frequently took long lunches that extended for hours. Her boss, worried by her erratic behavior, suggested she take some time off to sort out her personal issues. Serena perceived this not as a compassionate gesture, but as another way Ethan had disrupted her life. In her clearer moments, Serena attempted to move forward. She went on dates arranged by well-intentioned friends, but no one could compare to the idealized memory of Ethan she cherished. These outings usually ended in tears, with Serena comparing every action and every word to her recollections of Ethan. As summer gave way to autumn, Serena's obsession assumed a more sinister direction. She began to imagine scenarios to win Ethan back, each more elaborate and detached from reality than the last. She convinced herself that Ethan's family was responsible for their split, believing they had turned him against her. Determined that if she could only remove their influence, Ethan would return, Serena started to obsessively research the Carter family. She scoured old news articles, social media updates, and any resource she could find. Her apartment walls were plastered with photos, sticky notes, and red strings linking various pieces of information, illustrating the unraveling of her mental state. One night, while deep into her research, Serena discovered an announcement for the upcoming Carter family reunion. As she stared at the Save the Date post on Evelyn Carter's social media, a sinister calm took over her. At that moment, a plan crystallized in her mind, a plan that would make Ethan realize how much he needed her, a plan to remove any barriers to their reunion once and for all. The annual Carter family gathering was a long-standing tradition, and now it was going to be the setting for her dramatic gesture. The Carter family estate on Willow Lane was alive with activity as caterers, florists, and event planners worked diligently to transform the already majestic grounds into an even more enchanting setting. Lights twinkled, flowers adorned every surface, and elegant decorations filled the spaces, creating a magical atmosphere for the evening. As the night unfolded, guests drifted through the lavishly adorned rooms of the mansion and the beautifully illuminated gardens. Children frolicked on the manicured lawns, enhancing the air of warmth, celebration, and familial unity. Amid the revelry, unnoticed by the joyful attendees, a sinister figure blended into the crowd. Serena Lopez. As the clock struck 9:30 p.m., the Carter family gathering was in full swing. The warm summer evening transitioned into a serene twilight with the estate grounds aglow from carefully arranged lights. Inside the mansion, the ambiance was lively. Clusters of guests engaged in lively discussions, their laughter mingling with the soft melodies of a string quartet. Serena, still in her catering uniform, had been patiently waiting for the perfect moment to set her plan in motion. She observed Ethan interacting with a group of cousins near the grand staircase, his effortless charm sending a sharp pang of longing through her. This sight only reinforced her determination, convincing her in her deluded mind that she was rescuing Ethan from a family that failed to recognize her devotion. With a calculated calmness, Serena slipped away to the east wing of the mansion where she had earlier hidden a bag with her final supplies. She quickly changed into dark clothing inside a bathroom, donned gloves, and concealed her hair under a cap. Her heart throbbed with a mix of fear and thrill as she stepped out, blending into the dimly lit corridor as just another shadow. She moved swiftly to initiate her plan, starting with the incendiary devices she had strategically placed earlier. Her first target was the basement, where she ignited a fire that would swiftly consume the lower level and block a critical escape path. Then, she methodically set additional fires in the kitchen, the library, and several bedrooms, ensuring a rapid spread of the flames. The initial hint of trouble was a faint odor of smoke, which some guests mistakenly attributed to an enthusiastic use of an outdoor fire pit. However, as the smell grew stronger, it became impossible to ignore. Alarms of fire rang out, and panic ensued almost instantly. Guests who had been jovially chatting and drinking moments before now pushed and shoved in a frantic scramble to escape. Thick smoke billowed from the basement and wafted under doors, filling the house and severely hampering visibility and breathing. Amid the chaos, families were torn apart. Children screamed for their parents, and adults desperately sought their loved ones. The fire, intensified by Serena's accelerants, spread ferociously, sealing off exits and trapping guests in various parts of the mansion. Ethan, coughing and disoriented, frantically tried to guide people to safety amidst the chaos. He had lost sight of his parents and was torn between searching for them and assisting others to escape. The heat from the flames was overwhelming, and the roar of the fire as it devoured the historic mansion was deafening. Outside, the first responders arrived, their sirens cutting through the night air. Firefighters charged into the inferno, racing against time to rescue those still trapped inside. Ambulances lined up, ready to attend to the injured, their red and blue lights casting an unsettling glow over the devastated scene. Forensic teams meticulously sifted through the ashes of the mansion, cataloging evidence with precision. It didn't take long for them to ascertain that the fire was no accident. Traces of accelerants detected at various ignition points throughout the house clearly indicated a deliberate act of arson. Investigators began interviewing survivors, trying to piece together the timeline of events that evening. Several guests recalled seeing a server with brown hair who didn't quite fit in, but the descriptions were inconsistent and blurred by the chaos of the party and the ensuing emergency. The case saw a major development when a catering staff member noted discrepancies in their equipment inventory. Notably, a uniform was missing. Further scrutiny of employee records showed a mismatch between the server who was hired and the individual who had actually attended the event. With this information, the police honed in on a solid lead. Someone had infiltrated the event under false pretenses. As Detective Donovan delved deeper into the case, she discovered Ethan's turbulent romantic history. Interviews with his friends and family painted a portrait of a possessive ex-girlfriend who had exhibited stalker-like tendencies. When shown a photo of Serena Lopez, several witnesses confirmed they had seen someone resembling her at the party, albeit with dyed hair. Ethan, who had suffered from smoke inhalation and minor burns, was devastated not only by his father's death, but also by the loss of his family home. While recovering in the hospital, he shared with the police the tumultuous details of his relationship and breakup with Serena, which provided key insights for the investigation. A manhunt for Serena Lopez ensued, and her apartment, when searched, revealed walls plastered with obsessive notes and images relating to Ethan and his family, cementing her transformation into the prime suspect in one of Highland Park's most grievous crimes. Her car was later discovered abandoned at a bus station in a neighboring town, suggesting she had fled immediately after the fire. Authorities scrutinized bus manifests and taxi records, yet Serena seemed to have disappeared without a trace. Considering the possibility of an accomplice, the police extended their investigation to her known associates. The break in the manhunt came 6 months post-fire, when a motel clerk in a small Oregon town recognized Serena from a wanted poster. Local authorities promptly arrested her, finding her in possession of several fake IDs and a journal that chronicled her fixation with Ethan. Serena's trial became a highly publicized ordeal, exposing every facet of her relationship with Ethan and her subsequent spiral into obsession. Despite her defense attorney's attempts to argue diminished capacity, the jury was unpersuaded. They found Serena guilty on all counts. During the sentencing hearing, the judge issued her verdict reflecting the gravity of the crimes. Serena was sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms for the deaths she caused, in addition to 120 years for attempted murder and various other charges. This sentence was a testament to the severity and premeditation of her actions that tragic night. As she was escorted from the courtroom in shackles, Serena displayed no signs of remorse. Her face was expressionless, her eyes void of emotion, a chilling reminder of the depth of her obsession. Her actions had not only destroyed her own life, but had also irreparably damaged the lives of Ethan's family and the broader community. Her fate was sealed, leaving a once vibrant community to heal from the scars of that horrifying ordeal.